Hello everyone, I am Aniket and today we will be discussing the problem of LeetCode Biweekly Contest 183 question number 2. Minimum operations to make array modulo alternating first. You are given an integer array nums and an integer k. In one operation, you can increase or decrease any element nums by 1. An array is called modulo alternating if there exist two distinct integers x, y, where x, y should be lesser than k such that for every even indices I, nums I modulo k should be equal to x and nums I modulo k should be equal to y. Return the minimum number of operations required to make nums modulo alternating. So in this example, here you should make the resulting array into x, y, x, y, x, y type, which is known as array modulo alternating also. So you need to make the array into this kind of array where x will be present at even indices and y will present at odd indices. So first question is, can you check it? Can you do brute force in this question? Let's analyze this brute force method. In brute force method, first find all pairs of xy, x comma y, and after finding x comma y pair, then you operations required calculate operations required to convert array into alternating modulo array. Here the alternating modulo array is x, y, x, y, x, y. And after finding calculate operation required to each of x comma y, so you should return the minimum operations out of all possible pairs of x comma y. That is brute force, and luckily in this question brute force is also acceptable solution. First question is how you can find all pairs x comma y. So it is very easy, that for you should know, you already know that the x comma y will contain between 0 to k, so you can make a nested loop for I 0 to k, 0 to k, and in this for loop you also consider 0 to k, and if I is not is equal to j, you can proceed the pair, you find the pair x comma y pair will be found, and for each x comma y pair perform operation and try to minimize it, because in the final answer we should return the minimum number of operations. So I hope you understand the brute force method. Then the next challenging part is how can we perform operations, but how can we find the minimum operation for each pair of x comma y. That is the main part of this question. So let's dry run this test case and find the main instincts from this test case. Let's write the test case here clearly. 77 and 19. If you mod it by k, then Let's say you consider x is equal to 0 and y is equal to 3 as optimal pair. So if 0 is there, 3 should be there, 0 should be there, 3 should be there. To make 63 0, what should you do? 63 modulo k, if you do 63 modulo k, then the answer is 3. 63 modulo k. First, I will convert this array into modulo k and the resulting array will look like this. 63 modulo 4 will be 3 and 63 modulo 36 modulo 4 will 0, 77 modulo 4 is 1 and 19 modulo 4 is 3. So it is converted with nums of with nums of I modulo k operation. This array is converted into this. So if you want 0, so how many operation you should do? You can decrement it by 3. So if you 63, you decrement it by 3, 63 to minus 3, then you reach at 60 and the 60 modulo 4 will result into 0. Here the k is 4, so 60 modulo 4 will result into 0 and you will find the first index 0. And if the second case is you can plus 1 it and the resulting number is 64 and in this case if you mod it by 4 then it also result into 0. Here the main instinct is the numbers for any segment of size k, the numbers at ai and ai plus k will result into same modulo ai mod k is equal to ai plus k mod k. It is very easy to prove it because if modulo arithmetic the plus sign is distributed and the modulo sign can be go inside, so the this will result into this and k modulo k is 0, so it is holding the equality. So here the proof for this observation. So if you go to minus 3 because you know operation, that how many operation uh, you should do to become 0. Here the number of operation is 3. Here the number of operation is also 3 because the difference between 0 and 3 is 3. Here the number of operation is also not 3. Here the number of operation is 1 because the difference between 1 and 0 is 1. Here the operation is 0. So you know one-sided operation. But what about the other side operation? The other side operation will always k minus one side operation. Because of that condition, if for any point this you find one side operation, let's say it is I, then the other side operation you should do k minus I plus or minus operations also to check other possibility. So here you check minus 3 because you know 3 to 0 the difference is 3, so other direction k minus 3 which is 1, so k minus 3 that is 4 minus 3 is 1, so other operation is 1. So which one is optimal, increment by 1 or decrement by 3? Increment by 1 is optimal. So here The answer is one operation. One operation is needed to make 63 into 64 which will result into 0. And in the next case 36, you should uh, do some number of operations into this so that 36 modulo 4 will result into 3. So how you will do this? Here the difference is 3. So you know one sided you know one sided operation one sided operation which is 3, that is plus 3. So the other side operation is minus 1, which is k minus the one side operation. So if you minus 1 it, then it will become 35, and if you plus 3 it, then it will become 39. Both of them will result into same modulo k. 35 modulo k will also result in 2u 3, and 39 modulo 4 will also result to u 3. So which one is optimal? Here the optimal operation is 1. So we will consider 1. So the next for next element also the optimal operation is 1. Let's consider the next element. Here you find the next one sided operation is 1, so you can decrement it by 1. The other side operation can be plus 3 because k minus 1 is equal to 3. So if you it do minus 1 into it, then it will become 76, and if you do plus 3 into it, that it will become 80. And which one is optimal? Here the optimal operation is 1. So we will here this for this element the optimal operation is also 1. And if we consider this case, here the difference is equal to 0. So here the optimal operation is only 0. No need to do anything. So if we calculate for each element that the number of operations we have to do to make it alternating modulo array, so the 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 0 will give you answer 3. Same this intuition I will cover in my code also. Let's see the code. Now let's discuss our code, that this is the main function where we are given nums array and the integer k. We store nums.length into n and a mod array to calculate all pairs of x comma y. Firstly, we do all elements to nums I modulo equal to k to find the one-sided operation efficiently. So we first initialize the mini variable to integer dot max and trying to minimize at every step whenever possible. Here this function is crucial, which I already explained at the above page, that now this function is explaining again. Int answer is equal to 0, where the answer is the number of operations you need to perform to make a nums modulo k equal to x or y according to their parity. If the index is even, then you should make nums I modulo k equal to x. So the difference between nums and nums I and x, one sided operation, or k minus difference between x minus nums I, both of them which is minimum will add it to the answer, and this is optimal one. Similarly for y also, whenever the parity is odd, so you will consider the same test case, same condition as above that. So after that you only return answer, that is containing the optimal number of steps to convert nums I modulo k into x or y according to parity. I hope you understand my code. Please like, share and subscribe my channel.